We're in 2022, but still women form just about a minority in the founding ecosystem as both founders as well as investors. We're extremely excited to partner for the Power Circle video series with Asia Tech Journal and bring you some very inspiring stories of women founders, women investors.
Hello and welcome to this special show on Asia Tech Journal. I am Shuja, and today in conversation with me here is Aditi Balbir. Aditi is a fellow at lowcarbon.earth, an SDG focused angel investor, former managing director and founder of Resorts. Let me first of all welcome Aditi to this show. Thank you so much, Aditi, for taking out time and speaking with us on this show today.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
So let me not waste any time and ask you about yourself. You founded Resorts at a time when the startup ecosystem in itself was at a very nascent stage. Was there a particular personal experience that affected your decision to be a founder, rather than going ahead and doing a job in a high-flying company?
Not at all. Frankly, like the herd, I would say, I was very much inclined to do a job, and I don't know whether I made the right decision even back then. But the fact of the matter is that, I was quite happy being in employment. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to become a founder, more so because, I felt that I don't know how to become one. And I never thought of leadership. I never thought that I want to lead a big team of people. I didn't have those aspirations at all. Mm-hmm. And but in my case, the opportunity sort of just fell into my lap because I am from the venture space, actually, from the investing space myself. That is more, I would say, my comfort area. So when I started also, I was actually approached by, fund managers to become a founder because there was a company and it was all about travel, which I loved, and everybody knew I loved travel. I was very notorious for taking these small holidays. So they said, tum travel to karti rehti ho, so you might as well, run this company. It's all about travel. There's no one better than you who knows the landscape of the country, outside the country, what consumers want. So I kind of got recruited, to be very honest, to become a founder. That's really how it happened. And because of that, again, the comfort level was there. Because for me, I had more control, but it was still a job at the end of the day.
That's really interesting. You got recruited for being a startup founder, right? Okay. Anyway, I actually wanted to ask you about the travel sector. Some bit of it you've already answered, but are there any observations you have made over the period of time in this sector, particularly, given the scenario that we have and post-COVID world?
So, I know it's a sector which you don't really think of as a sector which is hot for venture capital, because travel is, we've all heard of hospitality companies, large real estate plays, right? So venture funding doesn't really go with that. But to be honest, I joined the travel industry when it was really at its cusp, right? Mm-hmm. That was the era of 4 and 5 stars that were doing well at that time. And even way back then, I'm talking about 2014.
Okay.
I was very clear about the fact that Indians will be taking more breaks, whereas my dad told me, kabhi nahi hoga. Indians travel nahi karte hain. Indians ek baar hi travel karte hain saal mein, that sort of thing. I was quite clear that no, Indians will travel, and when they travel, they will look for boutique options. They will not want to leave the city, which is very crowded, and go to another place which is like a city which is very crowded. So I love that property. So but I use that as my example all the time. Ki Delhi chhod ke aapko JP jaake phir hi wo Delhiite se, why do you want to do that? It's such a Delhi.
Correct.
That was really I was quite certain about it, and the reason I was certain about it was that the trend was already very strong in the West. And it was just a matter of time that it got on. Now, Indians are supremely resilient, and I would like to take the forum to really thank the domestic customer, because they are the ones who have literally given us livelihood and the wings to fly. And they were the guys who caught on very quickly. Weekend travel became a thing. Boutique properties were taken very positively. I know customers who came and they said कि room service नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं. It wasn't as if नहीं हमें तो चाहिए, हमारा बच्चा रो रहा है. It wasn't like that. They said अच्छा यहाँ पे ये नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं. It was very nice the way they recepted, to the entire offering. And then of course it was at its absolute peak in 2019 when COVID happened. And then ekdam se, everything stalled and we didn't know what's going to happen. But again, post-COVID, the trends are super strong. So now there is a clear preference for, villas actually, the more expensive offerings. So at my time and, during B Resort stays, the offering was still very largely centered towards mid-market travel. So people wanted to go to boutique properties, but they wouldn't, you wouldn't dream of spending 50,000 a night in India. Yeah, you'd rather be in, in the jungles of Africa or in some crazy place. Or why would you want to spend so much money? Correct. But now that trend has completely changed. So premium villas, exclusive experiences, privacy, and privacy actually equals to safety now in a post-COVID era. So that is the change that is happening now. And I love to say this, that, people are now veering towards responsible travel, responsible everything actually. Correct. So every industry is turning responsible. So responsible travel is also coming up. And, that's the next big trend that I, look to work on.
So, Aditi, I also wanted to ask you this thing slightly different from the topic, but, you've been a woman business leader, a founder, and started pretty early on. Do you think, there still is a gap in terms of conducive ecosystem or, women founder-focused communities that need to exist?
Yeah, for sure. Because see, women are also founders in a very different way than men are, right? Men will network, will make that their priority. Women will never make that their priority. As founders also, we want to go home and we want to know what our kid has done in school, right? It's a very different, again, the consumption pattern is very different, right? So we don't have ecosystems where we are, which are conducive to that, right? So if you have an investor meet and the investor meet happens at 9 p.m. at night, I can't say, yaar, nahi, main nahi aa sakti hu, kal mere bete ka school hai. It's absolutely unheard of, right? So the investor will be like, "Arey, ye kaisi?" I mean, I don't know anybody who will give money to a woman who says that, right? So, so those ecosystems, those mindsets have to change a little bit, but they are changing, and when you meet someone else who's in a position of power, and you tell them this, so in fact, recently we went to this networking event that happened at, it was very good that I saw the time, because networking event tha on a weekday. So I assumed कि networking event तो 7 बजे शुरू होता है, 7:30 बजे शुरू होता है. And I saw the invite, I'm like, it's at 4. So I was like, oh, I'm so happy it's at 4. And so many people turned up. And they said, yeah, because let's wrap up by 7 and head home.
Correct.
Such a different mindset, right? So as we see more women in positions of power, those mindsets will also change.
Okay. So now you are, you're an active angel investor, and you've been a founder early on. So your learnings from being a founder of a startup, are they helping you take decisions now?
A lot. So earlier people used to say, "Acha, ye investing." I'm like, it's like rolling the dice. इसमें कोई thought नहीं है. आप किसी से मिलके आपको कैसे पता कि वो क्या करेगा और क्या नहीं करेगा, कैसे build करेगा. Ultimately, industry is one, but you already know which industry you like. So industry के बाद तो founder है और business fundamentals है. आपको कैसे पता? It's really a fund that you take on somebody. So I was like, ये तो बिल्कुल ही ना, this is like playing, this is like gambling. Investing is like gambling. But now I know, and I can clearly make out the difference between who's a smart entrepreneur, who's dedicated, who will do whatever it takes to build a company, will never leave it in between. See, 80% is grit also, because most of the times you'll be failing. It might be just that one time that you succeed, right? So during that time you have to have a lot of grit. So now I understand, and I can easily, in fact, not only understand, when I meet them I say, oh, he had this perspective, I never had it. So makes sense, stuff like that. And also, frankly, I mean, I don't want to use this word, itna thrown up word hai ye sabke saath. But you can really spot the unicorns, because you can spot that unicorn ability in that person. Unicorn is not the company. Unicorn is that person. I can do that. Yeah. So it really helps.
Excellent. One final thing. Other than angel investing, what is next in your journey? I think that's something that a lot of people would be asking you, right?
Next in my journey, I'm actually, like I said, I'm building that chain of sustainable stays. That will always be my passion and love. So that is happening. But I just recently came out with a book, and I wish I had known, so I would have kept a copy in my hand. But
you can send a copy.
I'll send you a copy. But I love illustrating, and I have just done a book with my ISB batchmate, and I've illustrated for her. So I've done all the cartoons and she's done the writing. So yeah, that's
lovely. We didn't know that about you. Wonderful. All the best. Thank you so much. That's all the time that I have today, but we would definitely like to hear more from you, and all the best to all your ventures.
Thank you.
Hoping to have more time to have more conversations about it. For now, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So that was all from us today. See you next week with another inspiring personality or business leader with us. Thank you.